Welcome back to the Bernard Lee Poker Show. We are talking with the recent winner of the 2021 Little Kings and Queens Charity Rooms main event, specifically for what they deemed the Freedom Bash tournament series. The main event was a $600 two starting flights, and first prize was almost $45,000. Preston McEwen, thanks for coming on and telling us about the experience there and the room. I know the room has been around for only a year and kind of first foray in Georgia. How are the players in Georgia? You know, where Georgia isn't thought of as a hotbed for poker because there aren't many rooms, but Florida's right there, obviously Cherokee's right there, et cetera. How were the players? Did it seem pretty normal compared to the other stops that you've been in, or did they definitely seem like this is a first time that they're kind of playing in tournaments?
You know, there were definitely like some of the circuit grinders that play in this Cherokee stops, these Tunica stops. You know, Atlanta is a pretty big poker scene, but
Right.
There were also a lot of, you could tell, either cash game players or people that have never played tournaments before.
Right.
I mean, I saw some pretty amazing stuff, and I would highly recommend any poker player, tournament player, go check these tournaments out. They're worth going to.
Yeah. Were there a lot of 5x pre-flop raises like the old days?
On late in day two, there were 5x opens. So I mean, I saw people. There'd be an all-in in front of them for 20 big blinds, and they would turn their cards over like in a cash game and expose Queen 4 offsuit, and then make the call for 70% of their stack. So it's that type of game. Yeah.
If you go in with the best hand and just hope you don't get unlucky, like I say at the end of every radio show, right? That's really what it is. So tell me a little bit about it. It was of two flight. Did you play? Which flight did you play in? Did you fire multiple bullets? How did it go?
I was actually only planning on going down for the weekend because of the holiday, July 4th being on Sunday. I had 2 kids and a wife, and my plan was to go down, play the monster stack, which I didn't do any good in. And then play the first flight of the main. If I bagged up the main, I would go home for 2 days and then drive back. It's about a 3.5 hour drive for me. Mm-hmm. And I did not bag the first flight of the main, and I was so disappointed that I didn't, given the field. I convinced my wife to let me stay and play the second flight. And I fired 1 bullet at it, and was kind of on cruise control all day, built up a stack towards the end, and then doubled up the last hand of the night in a pretty sick spot that kind of exemplifies what's going on at the stop.
What happens? Describe that.
So it folds to the button. He opens to 25K at 12K big blind. I defend ace deuce offsuit at about 300K effective, and the flop comes ace deuce 6 rainbow, and I check raise his 35K C bet to 100K. He calls. The turn is an offsuit 3, and I jam my last 200K. He calls with 5-3 offsuit with a third pair and a gut shot. And we hold, and I bag 5th and chips. And
I can't believe you said we hold. I was expecting I knocked out.
Right.
Wow, incredible.
That's what the action's like down there. That's on the stone bubble of the last flight too. And it was for about 90% of his stack.
So you obviously entered day 2, massive stack, really big stack. How many people were left going into day 2?
45 were left, and I was 5th in chips. And just immediately went on a heater. I won queens to ace king, button versus big blind for a good stack. Pretty quickly became chip leader, and kind of just, you know, until we got to about 15, 14 players left. I pretty much had a top 2 or 3 stack the entire time. And then I 3-bet ace queen from the small blind to a button open, and he calls, and the flop was ace 5 deuce with a flush draw, and I check jam for 600K to his 150K flop bet, and he snaps me off of 4s. and then turns to 3. So for 2x chip lead, I get crippled and have to just grind for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about this field. Like you said, this field, some players are going to make some interesting decisions. How did you adjust? Because it's different, right? Like you're playing, the way you look at it is you can play against a decent number of recreational players at a Run Good event. There are definitely solid pros at a Run Good event, and usually the cream rises to the top.
Right.
A World Series circuit, you're going to get a lot of grinders, especially in like the Cherokee locations and things like that. Obviously WPTs, et cetera. But when you get to a scenario where you have a lot of recreational players calling with third pair and a gut shot, calling with ace deuce 5 and pocket 4s and trying for the gut, literally knowing that they have to hit a gut shot.
Right.
How do you adjust your game in that spot? Because it's almost like, a lot of times when you're playing aggressive, you're playing aggressive against players who are willing to fold. And so when you 3-bet them in position with a marginal hand and they have 15, 20 bigs, they know that the next one, they're probably all in and they're good enough to fold. But when you have people who are going to make all in calls on the button with a gut shot, 3-betting them isn't scaring them in the slightest when you're shoving all in and calling them. So how do you adjust your game in that spot?
So especially when you get a little bit shorter, you want to, I want to take more hands post flop, and you want to reduce variance as much as possible, keep the SPR high, and you really want to, I guess, you don't want to be like 3-bet, 4-bet bluffing pre-flop very often because they're not afraid to call off with Queen 4 offsuit. So
right.
You take it post flop, get max value out of your good hands, and don't bluff too often. You can even value bet thinly. I was value betting second, third pair throughout the entire tournament.
It's unbelievable.
And, it's pretty amazing. But just reduce the bluffing and open up your value bet range.
Right. I mean, a lot of it is just playing straightforward and waiting for that hand, just not getting impatient, because these guys are all going to get impatient and do what you have to do. Obviously, you play down, take home the title. Were you pretty much in control the entire way stack-wise? So there was not even a thought of chop at all?
Not at all. I actually, on the final table bubble with 10 left, I was the by far shortest stack. I got down to three big blinds after I lost. So after the ace queen to 4's hand, I got short, and I was grinding a short stack for a while. I get in 9s to aces off about 10 bigs and lose to cripple me down to 3 bigs. And soon after that, I double against the same guy, king queen to king 9, and then I get another double up with 9-8 versus ace 3 on a 10-7 3 board. I spiked the jack on the turn.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, 12 bigs at this point was enough. Luckily, I had the softer table draw of the 2 tables that were left. And I had, at this point, I had picked up some tendencies of the players, and I knew when I could open, when I can, limp and see a flop, and when I need to fold against certain players, and just was able to grind that 12 big blind stack up to second in chips by the time the bubble burst, or the final table bubble burst. Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
Went into the final table second in chips, and then just ran dead for a while. But it was kind of a blessing in disguise. The first 2 hours of the final table didn't really make many hands, and but it didn't really matter because people were committing ICM suicide, and so it's nice to just be able to sit back and watch that happen and get 4 or 5 handed all of a sudden.
Right. All of a sudden there's 4 left and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, right.
That makes life easy.
Right.
Right. How was heads up? Quick?
It was probably about a 45-minute match. He started with 8 million in chips. I started with, I think, 6.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
And he whittled me down to, I think one of the first hands I make 2 pair against his flush, and he whittled me down to about 4 million. And I made a a call with ace high on a queen jack deuce deuce board. Queen jack deuce deuce, and then I think like an offsuit 6 on the river. But made a big call there for most of my stack with ace king, and that made the stacks about even. And then from there, I felt like he was getting frustrated. Got a nice bluff through with king high on him. Showed it. It was on a 15-minute delay, and so at that point, I thought, he's going to see it in 15 minutes anyways. Let's show him now.
Right.
Get him tilting and really try to. That gave me the chip lead, and then I was able to kind of lean on him a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure that those kind of that bluff, and then also the just getting through some of these hands, it's just going to make him get a little frustrated, and next thing you know, it's over. You'll have the patience because you've been through it. So
right,
you take down the 45,000. What a nice little win. I'm sure your family was very thrilled about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always nice, and we're gonna go spend some time with the family for the next week or two and have a good time and enjoy it, and take a little break from the live poker grind.
Right. And also you are, you run a league out of Tennessee as well, right? The Steel Wheel Poker League.
Right. So it was inspired by a league I first learned poker from in Memphis called River Rat Rounders. But when I ended up moving out to Murfreesboro, I decided to start my own because I didn't really there's no casinos in Tennessee. There's besides underground games, there's no outlet for people to learn poker, and it helps to build up the poker scene by having these free bar poker games. And so I decided to start a business, and we've got almost 1,000 players now that have played in the past couple of years in the area, and they're all recreational players for the most part, but they love it. And we incorporate a charity aspect of it. We contribute to an animal rescue in town, and it's a great cause and gets people playing the game.
That's awesome. And so obviously during COVID, it wasn't, did you do it online, or how did you continue it, or did you not?
We did take a break for a year, and from March to March, we took a break live, and we did go online. We started a club. We had free roll tournaments every day, and kept everybody engaged and playing, so that when we came back, we could keep it going. And we did come back in March, and we dipped our toes into it and slowly moved in, and seems to be going well.
Yeah,
we haven't had any issues. So
now, so with regards to it, do you guys, when you play live, how many people come together?
Anywhere from we have some smaller games that are 2 tables up to 50 players sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah. So we have our quarterly main event coming up this Sunday, and 100 players qualify for that. So we'll see how many turn out. It could be 50 to 60, maybe more.
Yeah. And then what's the goal, or what's the end prize? Is it a seat somewhere, or how does it work out?
Right. So before COVID, we had some seats donated from Horseshoe Tunica for a $400 WSOP event. Run Good Tunica was contributing a seat for their bounty event. Then we also had Pearl River Poker Open donating a seat. But as things are looking now, Tunica hasn't announced anything for WSOP. You and I both know that Run Good didn't happen in Tunica recently,
Right,
unfortunately.
Yep.
So we now have upped our first place prize to a Pearl River Poker Open $300 opening event seat, which last series I think it was $55,000 for first place. So you can free roll your way into a $55,000 win if you you really commit yourself.
Right. Awesome. So what's kind of the future for you? What's the plans? World Series, planning on going out there and playing a bunch of events, or what's his thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm planning on going out there. Like you, I'm a family man, so it's hard to go out for 6 to 8 weeks at a time.
Right.
I plan to break it up into 2 different stops. I want to go out there and, do a week or 2 around the Millie Maker, and then go out and focus on the main later on.
Yeah. I'm similar. I usually do. I've done them. I've broken them up 2, sometimes 3 trips, but usually about a week. This time, I think I'm going to do 2 weeks and then come back and then go back out for the main. Unfortunately or fortunately, I qualify for the seniors event this year, so I can play in that one. So I'll be excited to play in
All
that.
right.
I've heard interesting things. I actually would have. I'm 51, so I would have qualified even last year. So
Right.
it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out. Sorry, I got to grab something. And we'll see how that is. And then obviously, I'm excited to play the main this year. So it'll be a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
And so obviously you're thinking about playing in the Coconut Creek for Run Good.
Yeah. I was really excited when they announced that one. I actually haven't been there yet, but I've heard really great things about that stop. I got some friends out that way, and I'm definitely going to be there.
Awesome. Preston, we thank you very, very much for your time. Hey, congratulations. What a nice little win that was for a good cause, also for the charity. And we appreciate you giving us the insight of the poker scene kind of in Georgia.
Cool. Yeah, thank you, Bernard.
Preston McEwen here, winner of the 2021 main event at the Little Kings and Queens for almost $45,000. Stay tuned as we continue our coverage of the world of poker. And as we mentioned, WSOP is just right around the corner. Can't wait. I'm sure everyone is excited. And as always, may you always go in with the best hand and may you never get unlucky. Good night, everybody.